those that know. Only open to the eyes of those that are enlightened. I wrote in my notes this morning, I said, the dwelling place is the presence of God, where God is himself. This is God's habitat, where God is. A secret place, a place of encounters, a place of revelations, a place where secrets are revealed to man. That is the dwelling place of God. And remember, when Jesus started moving among men, he started moving among us and we did not recognize him. Some recognized him. By the time Philip saw the Messiah that he has been reading about, what did he do? And they found anytime Jesus was preaching to men, he spoke to them in what? In parables. Because they were not in God's dwelling place, so they could not have revelations. But those that actually dwelled, that were his disciples, he took them into inner rooms. And in those inner rooms, what will he do? He will now break down the parables to them for their understanding. So in God's dwelling, there is revelation and understanding. When I was writing out the things you find in God's dwelling place, I wrote out almost 15, and I could not stop writing. But let's take a few. Let's take a few things of God's dwelling place. Where God dwells, there is hope. There is hope. Jeremiah 29 verse 11 says, "For I know the plans I have towards you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. Plans to give you an expected end." When you are in the dwelling place of God, you have hope. When you are in the dwelling place of God, you have peace. When you are in the dwelling place of God, you can make plans in that place and it comes into establishment. When you are in God's dwelling place, in Isaiah 40 verse 31, it says, "But those who hope in the Lord, what will happen to them? Their strength will be renewed." It says they will soar on with wings like eagles. It says they will run and not even grow weary. That means that they will run, they will walk so well, and they will not grow tired. They will not grow weary. They will not even faint. That is the dwelling place of God. That is where God resides, only if you are there. Also, in God's dwelling place, the kind of love you experience, man cannot fathom it. What is called loneliness in God's dwelling place? Should I tell you how David loved God so much? Because he was always with the ark of God. He was always carrying God along with him. David loved, he said, as the deer panted after what? After water. He says in his word, Romans chapter 8 verse 35. He says, "Who shall separate us from the love of Christ?" When you are in the dwelling place, nothing can separate you. It says, "Shall trouble or hardship or persecution or famine or nakedness or danger or sword?" No. None of these can separate you because you are glued. His presence, nothing will separate you. Also, I wrote here, there is joy, there is peace. Several Bible passages to back up these things. There is protection. But where God desires to dwell, the tabernacle he desires to dwell, is that, and that was why he took a whole day to sit with man, and God created man in his what? In his likeness. He created man in his image, so that he himself can dwell in man. Through the course of the history of the scriptures, we were feeling God wanted a place to dwell among men. He wanted to stay around us. He needed a place. No. The place he wants to dwell, the Mount Zion he had created, he created it himself. No wonder he stopped David. Don't build for me. If I would even allow man to build a dwelling place for me, not a hand stained with blood. And that is the desire of God, to dwell in a man's heart. And when he dwells in your heart, when it stays in you, protection is upon you. Because you yourself, you become that ark of God. You become that ark. That ark that when it was kidnapped, when the ark of God was kidnapped and taken into the house of Lead, into the house of other gods, when they kept it there, what happened to those gods? What happened to those gods? They fell down. Isn't it? That is dwelling. Now imagine that you are the dwelling. You are the ark, captured, carried into the house of other gods. What happens to them? They must bow. And when they came the next day and saw that these gods has fallen down, what did they do? The man helped them to stand up. Isn't it? And the next day, the following day, what happened to them again? They scattered, broken into pieces. Why? The ark of God. And what God is imagining for you and I is that it is not a thing, but a being. That is where his presence wants to be. Thank you, Holy Spirit. I just remember the testimony of one of our brothers who was going to school, and he was seated beside the driver, not at the middle, but at the other passenger side in the bus. And they were involved in an accident. And the bus somersaulted about 4 or 5 times. And he found himself on a tree without a scratch. He found himself on a tree, seated calmly. How he got there, he does not know. He just found himself on a tree, seated. Parents were sharing the testimony with my parents that day. I heard the mother saying to my mom that the boy does not know that he himself is an ark of God. That is the ark of God. No damage can come to it. He that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under his shadow. That is the presence of God. In the presence of God, there is nothing called frustration. There is nothing called what? Frustration. There is nothing called depression. There is nothing called lack. But God will not dwell in a sinful place. He cannot dwell in a surrounding where there is sin. Immediately there is sin, what does he do? It departs. It becomes Ichabod. It becomes a place unprotected. It becomes a place where the enemy can just do anyhow, wherever they want. And one thing is that once God does not dwell there, it is not left empty. Demons begin to come. Look at the devil. He's always roaming around. What is he looking for? Empty housing. Is there rent here? Is there free space here? That's what he's looking for about. And when he sees that your life is empty, what does he do? He occupies. He doesn't pay rent, but yet he will occupy. My brothers and sisters, God has created you beautifully. The tabernacle, the children of Israel created on Mount Zion, the glory and splendor in that tabernacle is not as much as the one he did on you, he did on me. No wonder eye sees you. When men see you, they say, wow, what a glory, what a beauty and splendor of the Lord. And some say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The one who beholds you is the mighty one, the God of glory. And once you are beautiful in his eyes, who says you are ugly? That is the beauty I see. And then the devil comes lying to you. Why? The devil wants you to forsake. He wants you to forsake him. He wants you to go against your God who created that temple. And once you forsake him and go against him, he comes in to occupy. And what does he do? He shows us peripherals. He shows us things that are not tangible. They look beautiful, but they are so ugly. And then it deforms our life. In Acts chapter 17 verse 28, when you become the ark of God, when you carry his presence, when you are his indwelling, then you become someone that in him you live, in him you move, and in him you exist. You have your being in him. And that is when his promises can begin to come to pass. That is when you carry his power. And that is when anyone who touches you, who touches to harm you, what happens to them? He says, touch not my anointed. Do my prophets no harm. You become his anointed when you carry him. You become his anointed when you are a carrier of his presence. When his presence dwells richly in you. And my brothers and sisters, the only place you can carry it is to be in his secret place. Is to have a personal relationship. At the beginning, God was always coming. It will come at the cool of the evening. What does it come to do with man? It comes to discuss with man. It comes to communicate with man. That every blessed day you communicate with him, against you, they shall not what? Prosper. That is what he says. Why? Because you are in himself. No wonder when Elisha, they wanted to come and carry him. They wanted to come and arrest him. Elisha was his presence. Elisha was carrying God. God was trying to show us where he wanted to reside, where his residing place is. But when soldiers came, the captain and 50 men, what happens to them? They couldn't see him. No wonder when an axe head falls into the water, whatever he decides to do, he is a carrier of God. He has the mind of Christ. And everything natural begins to obey the supernatural. That is what he wants for you and me. That you become the ark. You become the dwelling place of God. But should I tell you what's happening to us? My generation. Sin will not allow us. We desire it. We want it. We want to carry his power. The early church, immediately Paul carried the presence of God. When he carried the presence of God, intimidation was eradicated. Boldness came. And when boldness came, there was no man he could not confront. There was no power, no miracle he could not perform. Demons began to obey him. When Peter carried the presence of God, he says in the book of John, he said, I will not leave you comfortless. I will not leave you helpless. When Jesus was being mocked and almost crucified, Peter denied him, isn't it? But when he carried the presence of God, he himself did not know. Something was just eating up in him. It was as if something was burning in him. And when he released himself totally to it, the first sermon, 3,000 people, they could not understand because he was carrying the presence of God. There is nothing impossible around you when you carry his presence. But sin will not allow us. Especially with our age, our generation. Even David knew it. That our youthful age is an age, a time when we are carried away by frivolities. And that is when we are at liberty to sin. But the grace is available. The power is available. We can become like Jesus himself. And carry Jesus within us. And that is when you carry Jesus, there is no place you get to they will not know, because you are a carrier of Christ. That anywhere you get to, what do you carry? And where there is God's glory, where his presence is, there is honor. No wonder you get to some places, honor follows you. You wonder how you get them. No wonder you You do not qualify for a thing, and yet you are picked. You just wonder what's happening. It is because of what you carry. Check what you carry. Ask your neighbor, what do you carry? That's the question. What do you carry? But most of us, we have baggages of sins in us. Baggages of our past. Baggages of our foundations. The foundations of our fathers. That is what we are carrying. But Jesus is telling you this morning. He said, carry my own burden. Carry me. Carry my own yoke, which is light. Drop yours. I will carry it for you. I will carry your challenges for you. You don't need to worry anymore. Anxiety doesn't need to happen to you anymore. All your troubles, I will undo them. But carry me and let the world see. Carry me and let the world see. And let them see my glory. And when they see you, they glorify my Father which is in heaven. And when they do this, do you know what I will do? Anything whatsoever you ask, I will do what? Do. That is his promise. Anything. He didn't say some things. Anything. I've always said this. See, you are not part heirs of salvation. You are joint heirs. The total of Christ's blessing is in you if you carry him. Let us become carriers of his dwelling. Get to places where there are troubles and let situations turn around because you are there. Not you, because of the backings with you. And you know the funny thing? When you carry God, you carry them in three phases. You are sleeping, your spirit man is a carrier of his glory. Wherever your body is a carrier. And your soul is having living waters. And that is why when they fashion something against your body, it does not work. When something is fashioned against the policies of your life, it will not work. But someone who is not having Jesus in his or her life cannot be a carrier of his glory. If you are ashamed of Jesus here on earth, he will be ashamed of you. He cannot handle your troubles. For him to have kept you up till now, to listen to him speak to you, is because he has packaged a future for you. The enemy has tried so much to get you. The enemy has tried. If the enemy knew you would be in this place today, he would have made sure you died before getting here. But God refused it. You have been enjoying that grace given to all men, but there is a special grace for you. Special grace for you. God does not need man. But God loves man so much that he doesn't want man to perish. I was telling our teachers something. When Jesus wanted to preach by the riverside, and he asked Peter to give him his boat. If Peter had said no, will Jesus preach? Remember, he can walk on water. Praise the living Jesus. He can walk on water and move back and preach his sermon. But Jesus wanted to introduce himself to Peter. And he said, can I use your boat? You just move in and let me use your boat. And after using his boat, what did he do? Peter decided to make his boat the dwelling place of Jesus. And then what did Jesus do to him? Jesus said to him, I know your troubles. You have toiled throughout the night. Launch into this deep. And when he launched, wow, that was Jesus introducing himself through miracles. When you become a carrier of Jesus, he will introduce himself to you. And when he introduces himself to you, what will you be seeing? Miracles and testimonies. And when Peter saw all the fishes, he could not carry it. And he called on his neighbors, come and help me. And when Jesus got off the boat and looked at Peter and said, you are not designed to be a fisherman. You are designed to fish men. When you carry God, it shows you purpose. It shows you your destiny. Hey, Kashanda Baba. Brothers and sisters, let us carry Jesus. Carry it like it is all you have, anywhere you get to. And let me tell you one thing, when you become a carrier of Jesus, in that your business, you are carrying Jesus. In that your home, you are carrying Jesus. At your workplace, you are carrying Jesus. In school, you are a carrier of Jesus. Let me tell you, we publicize you. Has any man had publicity than Jesus on earth? Has any man gotten it? Not any man. When you become a carrier of Jesus, that social media influence you are looking for, forget it. When you put it in your business, the men that are needed for your business, you will attract them to you. Because when Peter, who did not have the boldness, he just loved Jesus so much. He loved Jesus so much with the miracles he has shown to him. And anyone who wants to harm Jesus, Peter was ready to kill. Anyone who will touch this man, he was ready to destroy. But when the glory of God was totally revealed to him, there was a power stronger than the sword. There was a power that gives honor, that when you move, mighty men, the host of heaven, they are moving with you. You can't be captured. The confidence in you is beyond anything. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Our time is up. This family came back from church Sunday, and immediately they got into their compound. Armed robbers were waiting for them. The man, the wife, and their daughter. And they told him, we have been sent to come and kill you. And he started speaking in tongues, not even speaking out. And they shot him as much as they could. And they left. By the time the wife got off from where she was already shaking to check her dead husband, he was standing, dusting off his clothes. There is a power that men will not see. Men cannot see it. But the only place you can get it is to carry the presence of God. Are you here this morning? And you want to carry the presence of God? What has been difficult in your life that you have been running about for solution? You don't need to go on top of the mountains anymore to look for Jesus. You don't need to go to the tabernacles anymore. Jesus is here right now. And all he's saying to you, let me come into your life. Just allow me, just as Peter allowed him into his boat. Just allow me and let me introduce myself to you. And the living waters will begin to flow with your soul. And your soul will be nourished. And life becomes blossom for you. Are you here this morning? And you want to be a carrier of his presence. When we talk about the indwelling, the dwelling place of God, I am talking about you. I am talking about me. I'm talking about we, the carriers of his glory. You are here this morning and you want to be a carrier of his glory. Why don't you talk to God? Fọwọ́ mi o, Jésù, fọwọ́ tọ́ mi o, Bàbá, fọwọ́ tọ́ mi o, Jésù. Fọwọ́ tọ́ mi o, Bàbá, má jẹ́ wá ọ̀nà mọ́. Fọwọ́ tọ́ mi
Water me, oh, for water me, yeah. Lord, I need a touch from you, for water me, for water me. I need a touch from you, Jesus. For water me, oh, ba 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 ba, for water me, ba ba me,
that can carry. It needs bold to say, I am a carrier of His presence. That is evident in their life. That the presence of God is here. It needs that generation. I don't know if you are that generation. If you are that generation that wants to carry His presence, you want to carry His glory, you want to carry His power. Can you rise to your feet? 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 That's the song I want to hear. Inside me, Yahweh is inside me. His presence is inside of me. His power is inside of me. Hey, Akashanta Baba. Hey, Kashana.
Inside me.
Let's hold it. Let's hold it. Let's hold it before we go into that song. You need to release yourselves. You need to release yourself. Because it has not entered into the heart of any man. Man has not thought of release it for him. Just release it for him.
Yahweh is inside me. 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 mi.
What is inside me?
Wọ́n Olúwa ń bẹ lórí ayé mi. Ṣé lórí ayé mi ó gbé sáré.
Some places here, some lives here, he cannot access it.